There are countries on the world map that don't just occupy territory, they dictate their own rules for perceiving reality. Names that have become household words, overgrown with myths, stereotypes, and Hollywood imagery. Mexico is exactly that kind of place. For some, it's the endless beaches of the Caribbean and the sting of tequila. For others, it's the harsh northern deserts and the shadows of drug cartels. But if you peel back this outer layer, whether glossy or grim, you'll find something much deeper. This is a land where time doesn't move in a straight line. It piles up in layers. Here, beneath the foundation of a Spanish Catholic cathedral, the stone of an Aztec pyramid always rests. Mexico is 2 million square kilometers of contrasts. It is one of the world's largest economies, squeezed between the ambitions of its northern neighbor and the impenetrable jungles of the south. When you arrive here for the first time, a strange feeling takes hold. You aren't studying the country is testing you with its noise, its color, and its incredible vitality, a thirst for life that is inseparably linked here to a profound respect for death.
Mexico's history isn't a chronology of events. It's a series of tectonic shifts. Long before Europeans set foot here, civilizations flourished whose mathematical and astronomical knowledge still baffles researchers. Olmecs, Zapotecs, Mayans, Aztecs, they were building cities of millions at a time when London and Paris were little more than clusters of huts. The year 1519 changed everything. The collision of two worlds, the Aztec Empire and the Spanish conquistadors, was bloody and merciless. But it was this painful union that gave birth to modern Mexico. The concept of the mestizo, a person of mixed blood, became the foundation of national identity. A Mexican is neither Spaniard nor Indian. They are a third someone, born in the fires of conquest. 300 years of colonial rule turned Mexico into New Spain. This era left behind magnificent architecture. Cities like Guanajuato or San Miguel de Allende look as if they were transported from Europe, but painted in bright, almost shouting colors. The 19th and 20th centuries were a time of endless soul-searching. Wars with the US, the loss of half its territory, the dictatorship of Porfirio Diaz, and finally, the Great Mexican Revolution of 1910. This revolution gave the country its modern face, a cult of freedom, a reverence for the land, and that very same melancholic pride you hear in the songs of the mariachi.
Mexico's economy is an organism running at several speeds simultaneously. It is impossible to find a universal formula for its success or decline. This is a country that ranks 15th in the world by GDP, yet struggles with a yawning chasm between extreme wealth and dire poverty. Look to the north, Monterrey. Often called the Chicago of Mexico, it is a city of glass, steel, and ambition. This is where the country's industrial might is forged. Today's Mexico is not merely an exporter of oil or fruit, it is a massive engineering hub. You would be surprised to learn that a significant portion of global aerospace components and highly complex electronics are manufactured right here, in facilities whose sterility and technological standards rival those of Germany. The automotive industry has become the backbone of the economy. Proximity to the United States gave rise to a unique phenomenon, the maquiladoras. These assembly plants have turned the border into an endless conveyor belt, yet therein lies a vulnerability. Mexico is too tightly bound to the heartbeat of its northern neighbor. When Washington sneezes, Mexico City catches a fever. But move south to the states of Chiapas or Oaxaca, and the scenery shifts. Here, time seems to have frozen in the thick molasses of tradition. In these parts, the economy is measured not by stock quotes, but by the harvest of corn and coffee. This rift between the advanced North and the forgotten South is the central drama of Mexican society. At the heart of this entire system stands the family. In Mexico, family is everything. It's your first bank, your insurance company, and your support system. Living in isolation is unheard of. The concept of compadrazgo, kinship in its deepest sense, permeates every layer of life. If you have a problem, you don't go to a lawyer, you go to an uncle who has a connection in the right ministry. This isn't always corruption in its purest form, it is a survival mechanism in a world where state institutions often feel distant and cold. And, of course, there's religion. Mexican Catholicism is not defined by the dry dogmas of the Vatican. It is a living, sometimes haunting fusion of Christianity and ancient rites. Our Lady of Guadalupe is more than an icon, she is a national symbol. She is the brown Madonna, the one who united the indigenous peoples and the Spaniards. In December, when millions of people crawl on their knees toward her basilica, you realize Mexico is held together not by laws, but by a belief in miracles.
Mexico's nature is a challenge to the imagination. It's as if someone intentionally gathered every climatic zone on Earth to see how they'd coexist in one space. Starting in the north, the Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts. These aren't just dead sands, they are majestic landscapes where saguaro cacti stand like silent guardians of eternity. Here, the sun doesn't just shine, it dominates. Yet at night, temperatures can drop below freezing, reminding you how harsh this land can be. Hidden here is one of the wonders of the world, the Copper Canyon. In scale, it dwarfs the Grand Canyon in Arizona, but it feels much more alive. Deep in its crevices live the Tarahumara people, legendary runners capable of covering hundreds of miles through the mountains barefoot. A journey on the El Chepe train, snaking over precipices, is a 15-hour meditation. Central Mexico is the realm of volcanoes, Popocatépetl and Iztaccíhuatl. Their snow-capped peaks are often hidden by smog, but they are always there. To a Mexican, a volcano isn't just a mountain, it's a sleeping warrior from an ancient legend. The ash from these giants made the Central Plateau incredibly fertile, creating a land of eternal spring. But descend toward the Yucatan coast, and it's a different planet. The Yucatan is a vast limestone shelf hiding the world's largest system of flooded caves, the cenotes. Crystal clear, cold water surrounded by jungle vines. To the ancient Maya, these were gateways to Xibalba, the underworld. Today, they are places where you feel insignificantly small against the power of time and water. Finally, the Pacific coast, rugged, wild, with massive swells that draw surfers from across the globe. Here, the jungle literally tumbles into the ocean. In the state of Michoacan, another miracle occurs every year. Millions of monarch butterflies fly 4,000 kilometers from Canada to spend the winter in the high-altitude forests. When thousands of orange wings take flight at once, the sound is like the forest whispering. Mexico's nature isn't just beautiful, it's epic. To understand the Mexican, one must embrace three words: joy, death, and tomorrow. Mexican alegría is not the cheerfulness of an optimist for whom everything is going well. It is the joy of a stoic who knows that life is hard, and precisely for that reason, every moment deserves to be celebrated. A fiesta in Mexico is not a luxury, it is a vital necessity. Even if a poor family lacks money for food, they will find a way to throw a lavish quinceañera for their daughter's 15th birthday. Here, dignity and joy carry more weight than pragmatism. The attitude toward death is perhaps what strikes foreigners most. In Mexico, death is not hidden away behind hospital doors. People joke with it, personify it as the elegant La Catrina, and bake sugar skulls in its honor. The Day of the Dead is not Halloween-style revelry, it is a profound act of love. It is believed that during these days, the veil between worlds thins and your loved ones return to share a tequila and listen to their favorite music with you. It is a remarkable form of therapy. Death ceases to be an end and becomes merely another stage of a long journey. And then there is time, the famous Mexican Ahorita. Literally, it means right now. But in the Mexican cosmos, now can mean in 5 minutes, in a week, or never.
This is neither laziness nor deception, it is a form of politeness. A Mexican wants so badly to avoid upsetting you with a no that they would rather promise the impossible. Life here teaches patience. You stop looking at the clock and start looking at people. Mexico is a nation of mestizos, a complex cocktail of bloodlines. There is no sharp divide between white and indigenous. To be Mexican is to carry within oneself both the pride of a Spanish hidalgo and the wisdom of an indigenous chief. This union of opposites generates the nation's incredible internal energy. They are remarkably hardworking, yet they possess the rare ability to completely disconnect from labor when the time comes for family or music.
Daily life in Mexico is sensory overload. Let's start with food. For a Mexican, eating is a sacred act. At the base of everything is corn. Sin maíz, no hay país. Without corn, there is no country, goes the old saying. Corn here isn't a side dish, it is flesh. Tortillas, tacos, tamales, endless variations of the same divine grain. Mexican cuisine isn't just chili, it's mole, a sauce made of chocolate and spices. It's fresh ceviche, it's exotic insects eaten since the time of the Aztecs. Street food here is often safer and tastier than in many restaurants because tacos are the social glue. At a food cart at 2 in the morning, all class boundaries vanish. Life here is loud. If you seek silence, Mexico might scare you. Mariachi music, the cries of street vendors, the roar of traffic, this is the country's soundtrack. But in this noise, there is life. Mexican cities are architectural palimpsests. Mexico City was built on a drained lake on the ruins of the destroyed Tenochtitlan. The city is slowly sinking, its cathedrals are tilting, yet it keeps growing. It is one of the greenest megacities in the world. Neighborhoods like Coyoacán and San Ángel preserve the atmosphere of colonial villages, where shady gardens and fountains hide behind high walls. But Mexico is also modern. The Santa Fe district in the capital is a forest of skyscrapers that could stand in Dubai or Tokyo. This duality is everywhere. You can buy the latest iPhone and 5 minutes later visit a curandero, a folk healer, to have your aura cleansed with a bundle of herbs. And no one sees a contradiction in that.
We've come to the hardest part, the shadows. You cannot talk about Mexico while ignoring the word safety. Yes, the cartels exist. Yes, violence in certain states is high, but Mexico is not a war zone. For a tourist or an average resident, the danger is often exaggerated by the media. The golden rule here is geography and common sense. There are 2 Mexicos. One lives in the headlines of crime reports, the other in the peaceful neighborhoods of Querétaro or Mérida. Corruption and bureaucracy are real problems. Getting any government service can become a quest requiring nerves of steel. Social inequality remains glaring. You might see a luxury Maserati driving past someone earning $5 a day. So why do people still come? Why do millions of expats choose Mexico as their home? Because it possesses something that has vanished from the sterile Western world: authenticity. Here, the price of life is felt more keenly. Here, people are genuinely interested in you, rather than just offering a polite smile. The pros of Mexico: an incredible climate, a low cost of living with high-quality produce, accessible and high-quality healthcare, and most importantly, an infinite cultural depth that you could never exhaust in a lifetime.
The Aztecs believe we live in the era of the 5th sun, that the world is fragile and requires constant nourishment by human energy. Looking at modern Mexico, you start to believe it. This country is not for those seeking perfect order and predictability. It is for those who want to feel life in its full intensity, with all its smells, its shouts, its injustices, and its dazzling beauty. Mexico teaches us that you can be modern without forgetting the names of your ancestors. It shows that even in the shadow of great problems, you can find a reason for joy every single day. Mexico is not a place on a map,
It is a state of mind. It is a rhythm that once it resonates with your heart, stays there forever. It is a land where the sun always returns, no matter how long the shadows may be.